So guys, not a lot going on today. I had some time to shoot a video. Live feeds didn't go great this morning. All my work's done. I'm just waiting on the post office to open. So I thought I would talk about something that I see people do that just really, let's get this shifted just ever so slightly. There we go. Something that I see people do that is not, doing it live. I'm adjusting you guys all live and everything. It goes against what I would consider the good rules of sharpening. And so we're going to talk about this. What we're going to talk about is maintaining a kitchen knife. So hang out a second. If you're wearing headphones, turn the volume down because here comes the music. So you guys know I sharpen a lot of knives, and I actually sharpen a lot of knives for chefs. Well, I did, and then I reminded them of a lesson, and it has curtailed my stuff. But I mean, that's good for them. I've sharpened a bunch of stuff for chefs and cooks and things like that. And one of the things that gets taught at culinary school that then gets forgotten is something that my friend told me that he got taught at culinary school, which is sharpen a little, sharpen often. Keeping your knives sharp while you're working, just even if it's a light touch-up. So the question is, how do you do that? Well, there's different ways. You guys know I'm partial to stropping. I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but we're gonna talk about there's a couple different ways of doing it. We're gonna discuss a little bit. I'm gonna go through a couple of these so that you can see what I'm talking about. Because I have a couple different items here that I use for maintaining our kitchen knives, because I don't like having to do so much work on a kitchen knife just because you waited too long to sharpen it. So hang on just a second and I will get everything laid up here, but we're going to talk about why kitchen knives should be touched up more often, and some of the ways to do it. So the first thing I wanted to point out is kitchen knives are different than outdoor knives. And so this is one of the reasons why people are like, well, people will say, well, I don't sharpen my hunting knives that often. Well, how often do you use your hunting knives? How often do you use your pocket knives? I would hazard to say that I use my pocket knives a lot, but I don't think it gets as much use as a kitchen knife does in the big scope of things. Why are kitchen knives different? Well, let's just take a good, simple look at it from a perspective of just size-wise. The stock on this outdoor knife is damn near twice as thick, but the thing that you also have to look at is broad blade on this, ground super thin. There's almost nothing behind that edge. It's almost non-existent. And this is a really nice kitchen knife. What you've got going is the way it's ground. First, the way it's ground, it's much thinner, super slicey and sharp, but less material behind the edge. With it being thin, it allows you to sharpen a lot of times before it starts to really thicken up on you. Kind of like you would get in a hollow grind. So there's that. These are much thicker behind the edge, much more robust. They accept that impact. Second thing, steels. This knife is actually in 440 at 60. No, it's 9RC. But this knife was done in a 420 or a 440C, I don't remember which. Decent steel for this knife. These knives a lot of times are done in something that has a lot more flex. They're not as brittle, they're not as hard. They're gonna be something that's gonna accept impact, but with that, they're gonna get dull quicker. So, sharpen often, sharpen a little. You're not having to go in and remove a bunch of big chips. So that's why you have to maintain, like people are like, you should just be able to make, all knives are the same. They're not. By their shape, by their materials, things like that, they're different. But there are a couple different ways of maintaining your kitchen knives. Now, I know that every one of you knows that a butcher block comes with one of these. I do not recommend these. You can use these. These are okay for just like, hey, I don't have anything else. Quick touch up. I can't take it out to the stones. I need to touch up my kitchen knife. It's got a spot. I just do a couple. I'm right-handed. I always give it a couple. But the problem you have is my wife uses this on this knife a lot. And what it has happened is it causes a low spot on this. And I've told her before that it's not a good idea. Basically what you're doing is you're dragging this along a file. So these are called a steel because that's what it is. It's a steel rod. Let me actually about that, guys. I don't know what happened. What I was gonna say is I'm gonna turn this around so we can actually look at this up close and so you can see why I say it's not a good idea to use this. So guys, as you can see, basically what you have here is pretty much a file. I mean, these are just teeth that are cut in it. And so you're going the lengthways on it, but you are taking off metal with this. And so you can see, that's why I really don't recommend these because they give you a very toothy edge. Very, very wire toothy, not the kind of edge that you really want that's a good clean edge. And they are hard on they take off a good bit more material than the other methods I'm about to show you. So like I said, that's a really coarse edge adjustment because you're not actually sharpening. What you're doing is you're just laying that edge back up. And when you do it with the steel, it's really coarse. On this knife, it's fine, but I mean, you can feel it. It's just not a crisp, smooth, good edge that I would want. So your other method, if you like that, switch to a ceramic rod as opposed to a steel. So what you get with a ceramic rod is, basically this is between 2,500 and 3,000 grit. Ceramic abrasive, just like you would get in a sharpening stone. And so what you're doing is, instead of that really coarse edge alignment and knocking off more material than you really need to because you're cutting deeper grooves back into the knife and hollowing out the blade or the center, a ceramic, just real quick, now that edge feels way more crisp and way more along the lines of what I would want. And that's because I'm using an actual abrasive that is less coarse and it's giving me an edge. You can actually, final refinement on an edge, you can use one of these. A lot of guys use the Edge Pro. They'll recognize this. This comes with the Edge Pro system. And so a ceramic rod gives you a little bit, that's way better. Way better than it was before, way better than it was when it came off that steel. So a ceramic rod, you can get bigger ones. They have these where they have a handle. You can basically buy one of these in ceramic and put it in your butcher block. I just see no need to because, well, I have this one. And the nice thing about this one is it's not gonna wear out as fast and you can clean the metal off of it and it's just basically, it won't never wear out. It will never wear out. Mine has a little tube. It sits right next to the butcher block. So there's that way. And then you guys know that I love to be able to use strops. Well, if you have a strop in your kitchen, that would be my go-to, is just to strop it. Every once in a while, just touch it up on the strop, see if that's the edge you want, and see if it's toothy as you want. If it's not, then you just go back and sharpen. So if you cook a lot, I would say you should be sharpening at least a touch-up edge on something like this at least once a week. If you cook a lot, like you're a chef, you should be doing that multiple times daily. This should be like part of your fucking apron. And you just pull it out and you can just... If you get the bigger ones, you can have a handle and you can actually do it. This doesn't bother me. Now, the thing about this is there still is technique involved. There still is definitely technique involved on this. You basically just, you find your angle. It's a lot like stropping. You just let it find its own way down down the stone. You don't apply any pressure, and you should be able to maintain that edge on this ceramic rod for a while. I have not sharpened this. I sharpened it the first time when Mattia Barani sent me this. I sharpened it the first time. I haven't actually sharpened it. I keep an eye on it. I feel it for chips and nicks, things like that. And then, like every use, it gets passed on this at least once. Because I'm not taking that much material off, I'm maintaining my edge. I know that every time I grab it out of my butcher block, I've got a nice crisp edge. Now, the flip side of these things that I just showed you is they will not get you where you're going if you've done a lot of heavy damage. If I was to cut into, say I was to hit a piece of ceramic, or I was cutting and I slipped off and I hit a, it happens, people will fucking think that's a rubber band that's holding their broccoli together, and you wind up cutting into the twist tie. Something like that, you do have to go back to your stones. Because these are just for, these aren't actually sharpening. This is maintenance. You are just basically touching up your edge. And so I would say that my two preferred would be keep something like this around where you can just do a quick touch up. Practice makes perfect, you're gonna notice it. But start with a really good edge. You can't go and grab one of your beat up knives out of your block and think that you're gonna just be able to touch it up on this. Or the steel. It's not gonna happen. These will not make your knife sharp. These will only allow you to bring your edge back before it gets bad enough that you have to get on a stone. You will eventually have to sharpen. If you're using something like this, it's gonna be way less often. If you're combining that with a strop and just stropping it every once in a while, and I don't necessarily mean a loaded strop. I just say maybe a paddle sheath, or I'm sorry, paddle strop that's got a polished side and a suede side, and just touch it up that way. A couple passes on the strop, just lay your edge back up while you're using it. Sharpen a little, sharpen often. It's a very good little mantra. If you're remembering in the kitchen to touch your edges up, they won't get so bad that you either one have to send them to me, or I know this sounds counterproductive, like I'm hamstringing my own business, but it prevents you from having to go the nuclear option, which is break out stones, take off a bunch of material to rectify a small issue. There's always going to be small things that happen. Like you might get into a bone, or like I said, like you get into a piece of wire that you didn't realize was its vegetables. Then you are, yes, going to have to go to the stones. But in the interim, just as long as you're not letting it get too far gone, that right there just saved you by doing that. Like as soon as you're done, like you use the knife, you wipe it off, you hit it on this, wipe it off again real quick, put it in the block. That action right there, and staying with that and keeping up with it, will prevent you a lot of times from having to sharpen anywhere near as often. And when you sharpen, you're taking off the life of the knife. You're not taking much off with this. This, you're causing damage. This, you're actually doing some honing. This is your best option, and if this doesn't work, I would say to always try the strop first, then go to your ceramic rod. So guys, take care of your kitchen knives. They are one of the best investments you'd ever want to make. I love this knife. This knife is great. I want to take care of it for a very long time. This is my chef's knife. My wife has her own chef's knife. We maintain our stuff. And we've got knives. Guys, I've got kitchen knives I've had for 20 years. If you're maintaining them properly, there's no reason to have to buy a new set of kitchen knives. So, all right guys, I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. If you guys do need sharpening, I'm always available for sharpening. This would be a good time. This would be a time where a lot of my friends take advantage of the fact they know I've got a lull, and I do get a lot of kitchen sets and things like that. So yeah, just get in touch with me, shoot me an email. It will be in the description below how to contact me. If you guys decide you want to help my daughter's GoFundMe to support her Olympic hopes and dreams, that will be down there as well. Guys, like I said, if you like them, give them a thumbs up. In this corner will be a video YouTube thinks you like. Down here's a video I think you like, probably my last upload. Over here's going to be a subscription link, and down here will be a link to my Patreon if that's something you choose to do. Not to truly knife hand you with a knife hand, but guys, take it easy. and I'll see you next time.